Law Signals present Countdown to Justice, where we pit Batman versus Superman. 7 rounds, 7 episodes examining 5 decades of these two iconic superheroes represented on celluloid, in anticipation for the upcoming Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice. Which superheroes film series will emerge victorious? Stay tuned and find out.
Welcome everybody, I'm Luis Duran, and we're doing episode 3 of Countdown to Justice. With me are my co-panelists.
Oh, Chris Morgan.
Richard Perry.
And for this week we have Superman 3, came out in 1983, directed by Richard Lester, versus Batman Forever, that came out in 1995, directed by Joel Schumacher. And I guess to start off, well, just remind everybody that we have Superman leading 2-0 against Batman. So a commanding lead, but that might change this week. One thing I guess we should start off with is overall plot. Was there anything you guys found specific in either movie that kind of jumps out to you right away?
I guess we're going to hand this one off to Rich.
I think one of the things that I noticed is that each villain was kind of had a lot to do with a lot of their threat came with technology, because you have Gus and Webster creating this supercomputer that takes advantage of the world grid. Like as soon as he starts taking control. Oh, that was the satellite. When he starts taking control of everything, they get connected to the world grid. Like everything starts going haywire.
And this is even before the internet. So.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Batman, where Enigma's whole thing was trying to connect everybody to his television screens. Bruce calls it right out as him being it, like, if it gets put out into the rest of the world, like he's going to have control over all of these minds. And like both kind of have like or use that precursor to the internet as their big villain, so to speak.
Yes, you bring up a good point. Like the science or technology was used as a tool for villainy, especially, which was pretty bizarre. I didn't realize that until you mentioned it just now. Even though, like, we can skip over the fact that Superman 3 they were just introducing computers, and we had one supercomputer that was built so fast that could reach satellites, power grids, as well as oil lines and everything like that.
And giving orders to ships.
Yeah, sending all kinds of Morse code things. And Batman, though, it was kind of like more geared towards television media, and then I guess manipulating somebody's psychology.
I wonder if John Bonham watched Superman 3 and says, that's a really good idea. I can actually use that in a serious movie. And then turned around and made war games.
Yeah.
I could totally see that, yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to derail you.
Let's say, no, that's fine. But did you see anything at all? Is there anything that jumps out to you? Anything specific to Superman or Batman?
I see. It's hard for me because both movies are so convoluted, tonally inconsistent from scene to scene. So I really can't offer like much about the plot because there was like several plots going on. Like in Superman 3, what was interesting to me were you had like the movie starts off with like what would be like you're introduced to Richard Pryor's character first, and it looks like a proper teaser to a good movie or a good television show. It sets up the character. Mm-hmm. Great. And then we get some bizarre street scene, which is like out of a Gene Kelly comedy from like the 1940s, where it's just like the Rube Goldberg effect of like, shtick. It's just like, one thing leads to another. You're introduced with a blind man with his dog, and the dog's going to get loose, and when he does, he thinks the road painter is his dog's thing, and then they even threw in a pie gag.
Yeah, pie in the face.
Gag,
Yeah, pie in the face is great.
And to put the cherry on top of cliches.
Yeah, exactly. And then you've got this interesting story about Clark Kent going home to his 20th anniversary reunion, which could have been really, really well done if it didn't get silly. And then you had, after the movie progresses, Richard Pryor's character, and I'm sure we'll get into the details, brings over some basically homemade kryptonite, and instead of damaging Superman physically, it alters his personality, so he becomes bad Superman. And you could tell like he's fighting it the whole time. I mean, to give credit to all the Superman movies we've seen so far, and I've never seen, out of the movies we've watched so far, this is the only one I hadn't seen so far. And Christopher Reeve's performance, the way he can do the internal battle of good Superman versus bad Superman, was really great. And then they had this interesting at first, but then ridiculous fight in a junkyard between when Clark Kent actually comes out of bad Superman's body, and they fight until Clark defeats bad Superman. You have two really interesting movie plots that you really didn't need to introduce much else. I mean, it was just very, very, it could have been done so well. And then you all this other ridiculous horseshit. I mean, Richard Pryor was in his own comedy movie that eventually converged into a Superman movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could edit out Pryor's involvement in a lot of it, and I would totally be fine with just having a character know exactly what's going on. Like, he's just a mastermind that, is usually down on his luck, whatever. Because a lot of the... I mean, it was just filler. We talked about it when we were watching the movies, just that a lot of unnecessary things that kind of, for me, interrupted the plot. Which, I don't know what they were going for. It was a very different style, obviously, from the first two movies we saw. A lot of the charm was kind of out of it. It was more comedy was kind of shoehorned in. What was exposition
through shtick?
Yeah.
So, like, when they were doing the exposition where we're introduced to Webster's top of your penthouse ski hill.
Oh, yeah.
Ski lodge.
Yeah, of course.
And they're talking about this stuff, and the whole time Richard Pryor is getting into skis and setting up a gag that he's probably, they're on a skyscraper and he's going to probably fall off. And, like, it's distracting because the joke's coming and you're waiting for it, or at least I was. So I wasn't really paying attention to what they say. I'm like, is this the part where Richard Pryor, because like I saw in the trailer at the time, where Richard Pryor skis down the side of a skyscraper? I mean, you see the joke. It completely distracted from any exposition they were trying to get.
I honestly thought that because it's been a while since I've seen it, and I honestly thought that was the moment where Superman catches him and like flies him to safety, but instead he skis his way down the building into the street, completely fine,
with a pink shawl or something, a towel or something around. It was very.
Which that in itself was a running gag in this film.
What was
the
that?
amount of liberties they took with physics.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, among other things.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let's not forget the oil spill.
The oil spill
that never happened. Apparently.
Yeah, exactly. Let's solder this. Oh my god. Bad Superman causes an oil spill when he punches a hole into an oil tanker that won't comply to Webster's and whatever his plan. Mm-hmm. He's a stray little duck, this tanker, and bad Superman punches a hole in it and creates this oil spill. And apparently, I guess 24 hours or however long it took Superman to get back there, the ship neither moved. The oil spill didn't get any bigger. And I told these guys, I'm like, let me guess, when he comes back, he's going to suck up the oil and spit it into space. The solution was probably decidedly more ridiculous. Where he uses super breath to blow the oil out of the ocean right back into the hole from whence it came, and then weld it shut with his laser vision, because Christ knows a heated laser could not ignite oil. I mean, really.
That would have really upped the kill count in that movie.
I mean, seriously, it's what you'd see, like, in that Super Friends that they used to show in the 70s, that crap. Oh my god, this was...
Well, yeah, this movie was riddled with just poor safety containment. Like, the chemical scene, they were just shooting the hell out of water, and it's clearly a chemical plant, which is one of the things that you mentioned, Chris, you do not do, especially with things that are such volatile in the acid they had, that clearly should not be on the first floor, surrounded by all kinds of flammable gases, chemicals.
It should be in its own bunker somewhere.
Yeah, clearly away from everything else. But no,
just the fact that there's a possibility that they can create a cloud that can just eat through literally anything.
Yeah, and it could just wipe out all, East Coast, they said, or something like that. Just tear through,
if not all life on Earth eventually.
Because when Clark went back to Smallville for his reunion, he brought Jimmy Olsen with him, and there was a traffic jam in front of the traffic was cut off in front of this chemical plant that's on fire, and the firemen are like, "All right, buddy, you're gonna have to wait here until we put this out." I'm like, "Okay, you're about what? Not even a quarter mile from a chemical plant that's on fire, and first responders are like, you're just gonna wait here." No, they would be like, you got to get back about 20 miles in the opposite direction. That was like the funniest thing I thought. Number one, the conclusion of it was just ridiculous. This is like the Superman movie of the super breath, because Superman goes to a pond nearby, and with the super breath freezes the top of it, carries the top of the pond, and just dumps it on the chemical plant, which puts it out.
Yeah, it got hot enough to precipitate.
Before it hit the ground.
Then before it hit the ground and put out the fire.
before like 30-foot hills hit the
Yeah, or just one huge sheet of probably like 10 tons of ice. Like that would be just the best way to solve the problem. Just like bury it under ice, everybody included. Just not even worry about it.
And this comes with a total consistency, because are you going to go absolutely ridiculous, or are you going to tell like human stories? And like that was like somebody seriously put that in the movie and said this is a good idea.
Mm-hmm. All those, just about everything. The spinning, the tornado that he disrupted and sent
that he just
up to the air.
Yeah, he flew through it and then turned it backwards. No, upside down.
Yeah,
sorry.
Upside down.
So it helped suck some of the water back up into the sky, and he evaporated the rest with his heat vision without destroying any of the coffee crops that he was waiting through.
Nothing.
Not at the very least, like completely drying up the soil. Oops, I took all the water out. Sorry. Oh my god.
And I can't. And even as crazy it is with Batman Forever, I couldn't love it all. Like the action. There was a lot of really good action in there. That was like even the vault scene was a little crazy. Of course, that just seems absolutely ridiculous. But I'll take it though. I mean, everything else was within the realm of reality, I would say.
I do like that we got this.
Batman Forever? That fucked around with the laws of physics? No.
True, he did pull off what Richard Pryor did with the skis.
Yeah.
A lot.
Oh, yeah.
But that's just Batman.
Yeah. I would say the gadgets outweigh, the craziness that we usually see in Superman.
And unlike the Burton films, Batman didn't take any lives.
Yeah, that's one thing we noticed.
Yeah.
Which, like,
intentionally or unintentionally, he killed no one.
I like how they kind of paid reference to it with the speech that he gives Dick about revenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just basically saying, I killed the Joker, and then I just kept killing everybody else.
But see, that's the thing, though. Again, in this movie is a kernel of a real character story. They do nothing with it, but there's a kernel of a character story.
True, you have to be really paying attention to
not
be distracted by all the other...
And the one thing is, and I made this when we were made this observation when we were watching the movie, like in Superman 1 and Superman 2, you established Zod, in the first one, and you bring him back in Superman 2. Lex Luthor you meet, and you find out about these guys, but you don't see the backstory. There's no how this villain came to be. So far in all the Batman movies, there's always, if not part of the plot hinges on how they came to be or how they're coming to be, you see some kind of flashback as to who they were, and it's like, why? You don't really need this. This is padding. It's not. Who cares? Why do you need a backstory for these villains? The Joker was written intentionally without a backstory. Mm-hmm. So the fact that Burton decided to put one in is just beyond me. And we already talked about the incompetence of those movies, but villains are a good villain or a good character is about who they are. Give some clue as to their past if necessary, or like the Joker where he hides it. he hides it. Like there's always obfuscation is the word I'm looking for. I think, right? Lex Luthor and so forth. They told you who they were. They told you something about their past. We were even talking about Miss Tessmacher.
Yeah.
About how you got an idea of like who this character was, even though she was just a lackey of Lex Luthor's. I mean, those were really super well developed characters. They didn't really require a backstory, had no padding, and I'm sorry, I with Batman Forever, I was so bored. I just didn't. The performances were really, really, except for Michael Go again, Alfred once again saves the day. I mean, the performances were so dry. Story. I'm sorry, the performances were dry except until you got to Tommy Lee Jones and Drew Carey. I almost said it.
Yeah,
Jim Carrey. And the problem with Jim Carrey was there was a middle ground he'd hit where he was, Enigma, and then he'd surpass it and go into Jim Carrey land. It's that was the tone of this movie to me. Was it? It would just. It's like a pendulum. It'll swing past the mark where it's really good, but really quickly it swings to an extreme where it's really, really bad. And I don't know. I was more bored during Batman Forever than I was at Superman 3.
Yeah, I would say that I would have loved to have seen Enigma in the role of already having his role established, like how Dent's was. Or Tommy Lee Jones, because it would have been really great to see pre-Two-Face, especially Tommy Lee Jones as a lawyer, Harvey Dent.
Yeah.
Like, that would have been outstanding, probably, because his performance alone probably would have been a great contrast to seeing Harvey Dent and then finally Two-Face, with how, like, over the top he was. And with Enigma, like, you could easily just have done the little bit he did with Bruce Wayne, and then after that gets laid off or something. You don't have to do anything crazy, but easily, it just turns him into the Riddler at some point. Whatever, anything better, but I think the lack of showing Harvey Dent in the beginning, especially when they have it already filmed, like, I think that kind of hurt it.
Yeah, I don't even think you need Enigma to have that much of a backstory. I think if you focused on Bruce Wayne, and eventually, how he's going to parallel things with Dick. And then focus on Harvey Dent, like you said.
Yeah.
And then once Harvey Dent turns, have Enigma in the shadows, like making contact with him.
Have the letter show up.
Yeah, and then have the letter show up beforehand.
Mm-hmm. And then the part of the mystery is just him trying to figure out who Enigma is. And then maybe do a flashback of him trying to get his machine to Bruce.
Well, which one?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like do that.
The Enigma TV or Enigma
show. As soon as, or have that after he gets introduced, have him deliver the letters.
Yeah.
And then, like, build that up.
I mean, I hate to, beat a dead horse, but if anything, like Star Wars, the original Star Wars, taught us that, like, backstory can be a lot sexier in a line. Where it's just like, your father Vader helped destroy, hunt down, destroy the Jedi Knights, blah, blah, blah. Versus, like, when you see what it is in the prequels. It's much more, and I'm not making dig in the prequels. My whole point is, to Rich's point, where you don't need a backstory. One or two lines, if they're delivered well and they make sense in context with the character, that's a lot. That's a lot better because it informs on why the character might be now. Gives the audience the benefit of having a brain.
Yeah, for me, it would have been a lot better if they would have showed a lot more than doing a lot of exposition. I mean, we were making jokes about it before with the Enigma scene, with Alfred and Bruce, where they could have stopped it easily a minute earlier, and it would have been at least a little bit in the realm of, something that the audience, at least for us, wouldn't be taken out of it and just find it as a joke, where it could easily just been, a thought process. And it's funny that Superman, it seemed like there was so much lacking in exposition. Like, the characters were there, but a lot of them were one-dimensional, and everything kind of seemed all on the surface. A lot of things that I feel like were removed from there were, individual characters like Lois, Perry White, were taken out of the films. That gave it a lot of the charm, a lot of complexity. They, with that, they put Lana Lang in, which was, she was very nice, delightful to see. Great actress. All the scenes with her and Christopher Reeve, of course, were great. But that's mainly, I think Chris said as well, it's Christopher Reeve kind of carrying what is given to him to make it a little bit better than what it really is.
It truly is Superman for being able to lift that script.
Yeah. And again, we're saying about Jim Carrey. Why can't I get his name right? Jim Carrey lacking subtlety. Christopher Reeve is all subtlety. I mean, there's not. I mean, when he's Clark Kent, his whole mannerisms and everything, but he's not an exaggeration. He's just holds himself differently than when he's Superman. And then where Superman's doing internal battle with him and Bad Superman, and when Bad Superman takes over and they actually fight face to face at the end, these are all different shades, and none of them are drastic. They're, it's much more believable. I mean, I'll put up Christopher Reeve. He was a great actor.
His drunk Superman though was getting a little over the top in that junkyard scene.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like an id situation. And it's I would say extreme good and extreme bad, but it's funny that they overlap with how they respond to aggression. They both are antagonists to each other, a good point. But they, in a sense, need each other for whatever reason. Like in the film, we see carry over in a lot of things. The weird instance that he has with Lana, where it's like that It's Always Sunny episode, like the implication.
Yeah,
there's nothing you can do if Superman decides it's gonna go down. It's gonna go down. You can't run or hide. There's nowhere to go.
What about the bridge? We have time. Come sit down.
Yeah, I always get there in time. It's one of those things that it was funny because it starts so comedic, almost 10 minutes of gags and shticks, and you even see a man drowning inside a car, which is like one of those. I don't think I've ever seen that. Maybe once or twice in my life, and this is one of them. But then it turns so dark, where you get an alcoholic, kind of out of control Superman that beds this one lady, has a one night stand with this one girl, and then completely just within a 24 hour, not even 24 hours, the next morning,
blows her off.
He just blows her off. He's I don't know who you are. That man's gone. It just turns so dark so quick, and they kind of just gloss over.
What made it worse is that they zeroed in on the hurt on her face.
Yeah. She easily, and she was by far one of the better characters of the movie. Lorelai.
If they did with Lorelai what they did with Mrs. Tessmacher.
Yeah.
She was definitely.
There was a lot of wasted potential with her genius. Because they show her just obfuscating stupidity the entire time, until just little things where she'd chime in, and that squeaky girly voice that she would do would just drop to her normal one, and nobody really batted an eye, which caught me off guard.
Yeah, you at one time said you thought she might have been a corporate spy or an informer of some kind, and they did nothing with the character.
No.
Even when she figures out what's wrong with the supercomputer, she's just we need to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
What was that? What was the parallel you drew between the two regarding Nicole Kidman and? Oh yeah.
So you have Lorelai, who is clearly a genius throughout this entire movie, whose only point. With any of the, she's just going. You can tell that she's just going along with the ride, with Webster and his sister, and the only real opportunity or the only real thing that she does, of her own volition, is just to bed Superman. And then you have Chase Meridian, who you can argue clearly knows that Batman and Bruce Wayne are the same person. She shows that she's been studying Batman, his past flings. She had to have read up on Bruce Wayne. Comes in with the explicit purpose to bed Batman.
Yeah, and then has the chance.
Yeah.
Denies him.
Yeah.
Denies him.
And just completely does what no woman has been able to do besides, Michelle Pfeiffer actually. Yeah, it would probably be. So he's kind of he's
been shut down twice.
He's 0 for 2 the past time.
All right, time out.
Well, does Pfeiffer? No, Pfeiffer doesn't get with Bruce Wayne. Right?
No, I don't think she
gets
close. She gets close, and then they both leave. But who's to say they didn't after the movie? Vicky Vale definitely did. She says, "Can't we try to fall in love?"
Oh, yeah.
Can't we try falling in love?
Are we gonna at least try to love each other?
Are we gonna at least try to love each other?
It's like, ooh. It's like that.
It's like this is the second night that we've seen.
Seriously.
Probably gets that all the time too as a billionaire bachelor.
It's pretty fucked up though. Because like, was Bruce ever technically her patient, or was he just using her as a consultant? Because they kind of blur.
It kind of overlapped.
Yeah.
Just because they were dating, but she was also like helping diagnose.
She was a consultant and then diagnosed him and then went on a date with him that night.
Hey,
Completely going
she
against
was fast.
Yeah. Completely going against patient.
and he even asked her out on after one of their. Or was that? Was there during their session where he's?
Yeah, he asked her out. He has to go to the circus with him. And then rock climbing.
Yeah, and then rock climbing.
Spiridian, you'd like to go rock climbing with me tomorrow morning? Bruce, it's not that. It's I found somebody else. Like, no Batman. No Batman. I'm seeing somebody else.
See, this is the unsure Bruce Wayne. Because I would say, like, the way he probably went home a couple times and was just like saying to himself, "Why did you say that? Bats aren't rodents, idiot." He's like, "Rock climbing? You serious, Bruce?" Yeah, let me go show you some rocks.
The circus, what are you, 10?
He's like, "Nah, I gotta get circus tickets."
Both female leads.
Trying to bed the
protagonist.
In case I edit this out, I had to go take care of my dog for a minute. So if there's a little gap, it feels like that's had to stop this for a second. So I'm just explaining to the audience because they'll probably be like, "Oh, what the hell's going on?
Why is it jumping around so much?"
Sorry, I've got a 5-year-old dog that still thinks he's a puppy. So anyway, Louis.
Okay, so
Can we talk about like the humorous aspects where there was a lot of padding in both films, but Superman 3 was padded with a bunch of shtick. Batman Forever was just completely dry plot wise, except for one. There's two parts that were hysterical. The absolute best part, and I'm putting Rich on the spot right now, was Halloween. The trick or treaters.
Alfred's line delivery?
Yes.
It's like, "Oh, don't eat all of your candy in one spot, or you'll get sick in your bed." Like, why would you say it like that?
It seems very cryptic too. Just like that way, like it's the way
it's like he's gonna come. It's like he's almost gonna come check on them to see
Yeah.
if they're eating their candy.
The Krampus. Like,
Exactly. Krampus watches you when you're sleeping, so you don't get sick in your bed. I still think he might have been trying to introduce a little Hammer horror into that. He must have been like, "The script sucks." In my Hammer days, the scripts were a lot better.
No, dude. Now, were Riddler and Two-Face using those kids as like to catch them off guard? Did they beat up a couple of them to steal their masks?
I'd like to imagine they'd probably beat him up. Just why not?
Yeah.
It's like it just seems totally fit in their personality. I want to know where those kids came from.
Yeah.
With that Wayne Manor is probably no easy. That doesn't just live next to another house, another mansion.
Maybe Bruce Wayne has a shuttle service.
Yeah.
Kids to come out.
Oh wow, that's even creepier.
Like for all the orphans or something. Yeah.
That's even creepier. It could be one of these things where they, the kids hike around, trick or treat around the neighborhood. It's like, okay, we're gonna go to the ride. It's, last stop will be, a 20-minute ride to Mr. Wayne's. Yeah. And I love how Wayne Tower was was part of a dam.
Mm.
I mean, do you think that was a callback to The Fugitive since Tommy Lee Jones is in it?
I think it's giving them too much credit.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, it's funny that that dam scene kind of seemed like it was so bizarre because it didn't seem in the right place for Gotham. I know in the previous other episodes we talked about how Gotham and Metropolis were kind of living, breathing cities in their own way, kind of different. One obviously was better than the other. Gotham seemed kind of very different in this film, of course, than the Burton ones, which I think it kind of made it interesting. I think Nolan kind of will take a little bit of this, and we'll see it, especially in the first, in Batman Begins, just the scale of it, just the size. Whereas in Metropolis, I mean, we don't get really much of anything.
No, we see Smallville more than Metropolis in this.
Yeah, which wasn't as compelling as when, like, the 10 minutes that we got in the first Superman movie, or maybe it was like 15-20, where it was a totally different Smallville.
Well, you got the sense that it was Smallville and not this town full of douchebags. I mean,
we got to see the expanse of Smallville in the first movie, and this one you got to see like the smaller, more social aspect between Clark and his old classmates,
which could have been good if her old flame wasn't a drunken moron the whole time. It really distracted. Again, this movie,
there's no point for his character whatsoever.
Just to let Richard Pryor to the database,
probably, yeah.
But I mean, sorry, that's my dog over there.
I saw Brad as a pretty tragic character.
Yeah,
I mean, like, it's typical. Like, you peak at your high school, and you know he mentioned he was like an athlete. You know, he won big games in football and everything like that. But now he's just a shell. And he has a job. He has some kind of social circle. But besides that, like, they do play him off as, like, a drunk, never going to live up to the guy that moved to Metropolis. And, you know, the big city guy now.
Yeah.
It seems like it
seemed like they wanted to make him a romantic... the romantic competition for Clark, for Lana's affections for Clark. But instead it was just him, Clark versus Superman, like, as it is with Lois. And Brad was just kind of that guy that's there in the background, just yelling drunken insults.
Yeah, like in high school, you know, the quarterback can get any girl he wants, but now the water boy comes back and it's just like, you know, he's gotten out, gone to the big city, you know, has a job other than a janitor. I mean, it was a pretty tragic story on the one hand, but again, as with everything else in both these films, it was handled for shtick.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like they decided to go a little over the top with it.
And why Smallville of all places, other than because Clark's there at that point? Like, it just sends Richard Pryor there.
Yeah.
Like, it could have literally been anywhere.
Well, just like the chemical fire. I mean, it's a good thing he was on his way to Smallville.
Yeah, I mean, all that, it does seem like just to set up another gag. Everything was very tongue-in-cheek. Like, just like, oh, you need to go somewhere small. Like, come on. And then it's just like, even smaller than that. And then of course, like, the scene is like, welcome to Smallville. Like, it's right there, like, plain as day. I mean, it also happened in Batman, of course, a bunch of things like, oh, I'll do takeout, or I'll drive through.
Yeah.
I'll do drive through, and then, what's the other one? The bat signal's not a beeper. Like,
yeah.
Like, unnecessary
or
things.
The car.
Oh, the steering wheel lock.
Yeah.
That they have. My God. Apparently, the helicopters have that.
Yeah, you can use the club on a helicopter.
I mean, watch out for that Gotham stylized Statue of Liberty. Both movies have in their cities.
But that's what I was going to say when you were mentioning Gotham before, because in Burton, Batman, Gotham was definitely a stage, except for the one shot of Wayne Manor in Batman. Everything else was on the stage. This one kept hopping between stages and in a real location on a city street.
Yeah.
And they would never match up. And it's completely distracting.
Yeah.
I mean, that you know, both these films are all over the place with everything, every conceivable possible detail. I mean, that could be a mark of brilliance in both of them.
Would you say towards the end of Superman 3, how many endings does this movie have?
Oh, yeah.
Because they have, like, so many parts, like, so many points where they could just, like, end the film.
Yeah.
Like, especially with each one of Webster's plans being foiled. You think that's it. And then he comes up with something even more ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, the whole supercomputer thing came after, what? When Soup stopped the satellite?
No, because Richard...
Yeah, what was that?
No, it was we gotta get back to the satellite. It was when Richard Pryor asked for payment after he turned Superman.
Oh yes,
and he's like, "I'm sorry I didn't kill him." He's like, and Robert Vaughn, who's playing Webster, is great. Says, "Oh, you did better than kill him. You turned him into a bad guy." And it was at that point he goes, "Okay, when do I get paid?" And he asks for a supercomputer to get made. So I'm thinking at the time, again, giving the movie too much credit, that okay, maybe this is Richard Pryor doing what Superman did in Superman 2, where you think he's building a weapon to destroy Superman, he's building a weapon to save Superman. Like, as when, Superman went in at the end and he reversed the machine to take away the powers from General Zod and company, give him, in this one I thought he was gonna have that beam, like the green beam that turned out to be the real kryptonite beam. I thought that was going to be something to switch him back. And of course, as with all the plots in both of these movies, it went nowhere. Like, that motivation to why he would build this thing, why it was his payment, when after it was built, Robert Vaughn and company took it over and hey, this is all ours, come on and join us. I didn't understand his motive behind it. I didn't understand the point of it.
Yeah, went the way of the Red Journal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of things were just scattered in both movies. One of the craziest things is just that the reason to bring that acid at the end to destroy the supercomputer baffles me. I don't know why Superman couldn't have taken out the computer any other way.
Yeah.
Of course, knowing if the computer does identify that acid, it's going to respond accordingly and probably just fuck up even more shit.
Yeah, it'll just get worse because it'll become stronger to overcome that weakness of a gas that's supposed to be able to eat through literally anything.
Yeah. It seemed like it was very, I don't know, it was kind of comedic adolescent writing, but somehow, for some reason, the action just kind of bolded into something where, like you said before, it was just one, the solutions just, it didn't matter. There was always something else, gonna be competing against Superman over and over and over, and all the endings and everything where a movie could have been totally just fine, even without the filler.
Yeah.
It would have been a little bit better.
Superman 3 is kind of like one of those comedies that doesn't know to stay 80 or 90 minutes, that tries to make it to an hour and 45, where it's just a lot of padding for a lot of unnecessary shtick that does nothing for the plot, does nothing for the characters.
Plus the transition between to follow the different parts of the story, and then were done so quickly and so poorly that it was like somebody with ADHD was doing the editing.
That's perfect. That is absolutely perfect. It's like whoever wrote Superman had no attention span at all.
It's like he's having a picnic with Lana, and all of a sudden, let's see what Richard Pryor's doing.
Yeah,
he's skiing on a.
Yeah, it's almost like a sitcom.
Yeah, it was, with no pacing at all.
Yeah, it's just, and now back to what Superman's up to. Yeah.
Please, can't you?
And then poor Jimmy. I didn't even find out what happened to him until midway through the movie. He's supposed to be a small little Clark, and now he's.
Yeah, Perry White gets on his case. Yeah, but there's and that reminds me, when they show that scene, they have the couple that's going to go to Colombia and everything like that. Mm-hmm. Go to some almost a straw village in Colombia where they have coffee plants.
I love it. The wedding with the natives.
Yeah,
a native wedding.
A native wedding. You son of a... it's bullshit. But they did they do so many stereotypical things that it's all it's just gags, and it really took me out. Whereas none of that was just charming. It's just very. It's such low hanging fruit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Just the stop sign.
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
I forgot about that.
That's just utter chaos. Even in I don't know what it was going for.
It makes no sense, even with the laws of ridiculousness set forth in this universe.
Yeah, you might as well have cartoon characters walking down the street, or something just ridiculous. And it just, for me, it didn't go along with the film. Whereas Batman Forever, I would relate it as an Adam West Batman. Like, he's very inspired by Adam West. It should have had the pows. It should have had, like, the zaps, zings, or whatever they had. It actually would have probably given it a little bit of life.
Because you have Riddler and Two-Face that are, like, just trying to outshoot the scenery.
Especially, like, Two-Face's, like, alter persona was just like, you're playing the Joker. I don't understand.
Playing the Joker the way he should have been played.
Yeah, exactly. You're playing the Joker the way he should have been played.
Just chaos and just don't care. And he was resourceful.
Yes,
I will say this now. Like, he knew his shit. Like that, he got away like 5 times in that movie.
He even made Batman run at one point.
Yeah, he made Batman escape, and then had to like lick his wounds. They destroy the Batcave. Like they did things in this movie that they hadn't done really.
I don't think any villain's done that.
But they had a reset button at the end, so it's kind of pointless.
Yeah, totally.
Well, first of all, I hated the Adam West Batmans. I've never been a fan of them, since I was 3. So that part of it was unappealing. Every time they'd make a reference to that, I was like, ugh, can we forget this? But then you have something that's important, that's groundbreaking, like them destroying the Batcave, that two of his villains know who he is and where and how to get to him. And at the end, it's like, oh, here's a reset button.
Yeah, Alfred comes in, he's like, good thing we have a spare.
Yeah, and this is like after he and Dick have that heart-to-heart conversation, which went from being like a really good heart-to-heart to being like cliche, ridiculous, and you get hints of Schumacher's homoerotica, and that's all over Batman and Batman and Robin, which I'm not saying critically. I'm saying more of it's like parodying itself. Like, when people think of like, what people would sometimes call buddy film, like, oh, it's homoerotica when it's not. This is like a parody of what they think, homoerotica would be. Again, the film moves from something good to ridiculous, but to their credit, this time it was all in dialogue, not over the top behavior, but we can. What is it? What was the line? It's like, we can't be friends, but partners. Or something like that.
I need more than a friend. I need a partner. I think
that's right. I need more than a friend. I need a partner. Which is the second.
Does he ask him about the R before or after that? So that would have been the greatest transition. Just like, need a partner. He just looks down. He's like, "What's that R for?" Robin.
Oh, Robin.
As they turn to Alfred too. Yeah. Alfred gets in on that. Like, it's just so.
And I love how Alfred makes the armor too. It's
Yeah,
maybe they're setting up for Batgirl in the next movie.
Oh no, he kind of pulls that.
Batman, Alfred can do anything, even make armor.
Alfred does so much shit off screen. Like when you see Bruce passed out at the bottom of the stairs, Wayne Manor all fucked up, the Batcave in explosion, and then he just wakes up in bed in the morning with Alfred tending to his wounds, having carried him throughout the entire mansion. Up the stairs, undressed him, probably bathed him.
Okay, see, that's the hidden brilliance of Alfred in these movies, because, when we get to Dark Knight, he's going to talk about, several years ago, him being in Burma, and you're like, what the hell is Alfred's backstory? Because he's been with the Waynes so long, blah, 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 and we'll go into it more when we get there. This time, it's just like, Alfred can make armor. Alfred can make soup. Alfred can tend wounds. He can give...
He can rebuild the Batmobile.
He's a mechanic too. Like those old motorcycles.
He's a mechanic.
It's like all of those Harleys are his.
And he still has time to go out, get candy, and answer the door for Halloween trick-or-treaters.
And they've shown in each of these movies that he is the only one that tends to Wayne Manor. Like, what was it? The second one, where you're like, he's walking through the halls, the doorbell rings.
Yeah, and he's so busy helping Bruce Wayne be Batman. Like, where does he find the time? Maybe he's a son of Krypton. I mean,
he's just sitting there waiting for the day. He has his bat suit in the closet. And they're just waiting. He's waiting for them to ask for help.
Rest in peace, Michael Gough, man. I mean, you have managed to elevate every Batman movie we've spoken to or spoken about. Since we began this journey into delving into past Batman and Robins, Alfred is the saving grace of all these films so far. Even when they make him a little ridiculous,
he does so. He's the hand wave.
Yeah.
For every bit of technology, every.
Maybe it's the one of the writers saying, "I'm writing Alfred this way because I want people to know that one of the writers here actually can write." I mean, because Akiva Goldsman was credited for one of the not story, but as one of the screenplay writers. And anytime you've got like 3 or more screenplay writers, that means you've got a bunch of people that brainstormed this and made something great. And something like this was probably like it was processed. Like the 2 guys wrote it, and Akiva Goldsman did a pass. I don't know this for a fact, but given Batman and Robin and some of the other shit that Goldsman's written, I definitely don't credit him for that great scene. Even though he did write A Beautiful Mind, and that was a good movie. Sorry, went off on the writing a bit.
Derailed.
No, that's good. Yeah, like everything that with how these characters, with Alfred elevating all of his scenes to being greater than they should have been.
To Christopher Reeves.
Christopher Reeve is like the only one. I mean, we had Lois obviously in the previous movies that always knocked out of the park. What's the actress name again?
Margot Kidder.
Yeah, she was just phenomenal. And it would have been interesting to see actually Lana and Lois kind of have like some kind of not animosity but indirect passive aggression.
I would like to have seen them get out of some trouble together. Like having already established that Lana's a bit of a mechanic herself.
Yeah. They're both kind of spastic, which is cool because Lana's, single-handedly taking care of the reunion, setup, execution, cleanup, and Lois is all over the place, where she's on a health food kick, but she smokes, and she's this little fireball. The actresses in their brief scene have a great chemistry together. Mm-hmm. The characters have a great chemistry. You would hope they would have picked that up in Superman 4, but I haven't seen that movie yet, so you'll have to tell me. Or we'll find out next time.
Showing off her big-ass diamond engagement ring.
Yeah. Which is kind of just...
Oh, there's a...
I love that this is kind of like paying her off for being creepy to her earlier in the movie. It's like, so Superman want to apologize for that little bit that happened...
But it was kind of cool where she realized he's just like, it's like, it's not really from... She said it's really from Clark. She took it as it was really from Clark, which was cool. It was a nice touch. Because nobody's going to believe Superman feels, bad about how he treated you before, so here's a huge diamond.
Yeah.
Keep your mouth shut.
It's better than what Lorelai got.
Yeah. She's not getting a slap on the wrist like Richard Pryor.
Superman wants nothing to do with her.
Yeah, and
he would rather pretend that he killed the guy that pretended to be him that slept with her.
Superman's just like, all right, we're gonna leave these 3 in the cave, let the police deal with them, even though they're in like the middle of the Grand Canyon somewhere, and hopefully somebody will get to him before they all die.
They sped past a lot of the fallout.
Yeah.
From anything that happened in that movie.
There was a lot of fallout too. Like,
and because like those 3 aren't going to be like Richard Pryor's character helped us do all this stuff, and the police are going to go, that's okay, Superman exonerated him. Again, the due process of these Superman movies. It's like, do as Superman says, not as he does.
Isn't that after they like made a big deal about how after he became a dick, like every country like disavowed him?
Yeah.
And the only one that hadn't was Colombia?
Yeah. So
like it would be great if the end of the movie was just him like packing up all of his shit and like flying to Colombia, being their sole protector.
You never wrote me off.
Justice in the Colombian way, which will get really interesting given it was the 80s and the cocaine trade. So
maybe that'll be the next. They won't have drunk Superman. We'll just have
Oh God, that's the last thing that we need. Coked up Superman.
What color his suit would be then?
But yeah, that's insane because there's so many things there that they do gloss over. Like it just literally in just almost a few frames, you just have a newspaper clip that just says Superman good again.
Yeah, and that's what bothered. The one thing that bothered me about this entire movie, about Superman 3 is that there was no sense of time whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like, you have events that happen all in the same day, but they make it seem... Like, every time they change to show different characters, they make it seem like it's been longer. Like, Lana... I'm assuming she left the day that she had picked up the phone to talk to Brad to go to Metropolis, got them a hotel, ran into asshole Superman, went and saw the sights, and then got back to her place to see Clark, all in one day.
Yeah, and I think that night she was supposed to have dinner with
Superman.
Yeah.
Well, it's like the whole dissemination of information in this film. Because, like, okay, if you're going to do a montage as to what Richard Pryor tampering with this computer back in Smallville is going to do, and you want to kind of take time jumps, and it's like, yeah, it's going to script this guy's Bloomingdale's bill, so it looks like his wife spent $187,000 there. Or, you know, if it's going to do stupid things with the traffic lights, like you mentioned, or, you know, it's going to disrupt the world. That's one thing, but they made no indication that that's what it was. So basically, he's in Smallville doing all this stuff, and instantly papers are being printed up and delivered. You know, bills are being printed up and getting to their destinations. And it's just like, oh, and it's nighttime in Smallville, and it's daytime everywhere else.
It's like what screwed it up, though, is that each time any of that stuff happens, they just cut back to him just like, oops, that's not it. And then pushing another button.
Oh, that's right, because he's trying to get the satellite in Smallville.
Yeah.
See, there's so many of these redundant pattern. You know, there are these patterns of him being at the computer and doing things, and the 50 different plans of Webster. It's just, it's a very convoluted movie. So I apologize if I'm, you know, being incoherent. Both films are a fucking mess.
Yeah.
But I think the thing with that too, because like as this also when all of this is happening, they've released 3 different papers explaining what's going on with Superman.
And this is before the internet too. I mean, so it's another nod to the internet.
Like they're just like the way they've got this information out so fast within a day. And I don't know if they're trying to make it seem like this has happened for a couple of days or...
Yeah, the sense of time is just thrown out. Very few instances do they tell you that, you know, weeks passed. Because we know, obviously, that Richard Pryor gets his check, the $82,000 check, $83,000 check, and that's every week. But after that, it's just, you know, that tanker was filmed for how long? I mean, who knows how long?
And Lois, the only sense of time we got is at the end when Lois gets back from the Bahamas, and they mentioned that it's been 3 weeks. So it's like, has it been 3 weeks since Superman dumped Richard Pryor off in the coal mine, or are you trying to tell us this whole movie took place in 3 weeks? Which is absolutely...
That's another thing too, because Clark was supposed to be on vacation that entire time.
Yeah.
And like you didn't see him in Smallville after Superman touched the kryptonite.
Yeah.
So he must have been like doing his super dickery for like the last two weeks.
But the oil spill hasn't moved. The tanker hasn't moved.
Yeah, middle of the ocean. You know.
But
Lana didn't ask where Clark disappeared to.
But hey, it does explain the Leaning Tower of Pisa statues, because the guy had enough time to, you know, send back all the leaning towers and get all the straightened towers. And this is after Superman straightens the Leaning Tower of Pisa, because when you're evil, you destroy historic landmarks.
Or you alter them, you don't destroy them.
Yeah. You alter them.
You just change them just in such a way that it'll piss people off.
Just slightly.
And I love how that was the one thing they decided, you know what, we left something out.
Yeah.
We gotta make sure we set the Pisa Tower right.
Wouldn't that be a funny gag? Yeah, write that in.
So that was the only thing. When he said he has some errors to run, I thought he was going to fix his life from what he did when he was evil. Like maybe go visit Lorelei, apologize to her.
He goes to an Alcoholics Anonymous class. He sees Tony Stark there, and it's like, whoa, this isn't the crossover we wanted. And he
goes and replaces the mirror that he burned with his heat vision. Buys everybody in the bar a shot.
Yeah.
For scaring the hell out of them.
Just crushing diamonds for everybody. You just see like a whole
you
town.
Get a diamond.
Like...
You get a diamond.
And look, I understand product placement. I know it's there, you know. But seriously, you're not going to tell me Robert Vaughn's character is like one of the richest, most powerful men in the world, and he's got like bottles and bottles and bottles of Johnny Walker Red.
Yeah, that's the
I
one
mean,
thing.
come on.
That's one thing Superman is drinking.
Superman's drinking too.
Yeah, everybody's drinking Johnny Walker Red. I mean, I know in the 70s they had better choices of whiskey, Product placement, I'm sorry, it was a divergent, but as a whiskey drinker, I have to say it completely distracted me. I'm looking up there and goes, how many... Johnny Walker Red? Really? Really?
Not one, not two. There was like 4 or 5. Like, he was rolling deep. He
Yeah,
really liked his red.
Well, I mean, unless the character bought Johnny Walker, in which case it makes sense.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a
Superman was just
diverge.
Superman was just helping him out buying a bottle.
But this will, I mean, the fact that, like, again, these movies are all over the place, so, like, the details like Johnny Walker, or, like, the KFC, all the KFC plugs, like, where you see the bag on the wall, and then...
Richard Pryor saying, that bucket of chicken? Yeah.
It's like, uses the recipe as a metaphor.
Where are all the spices, it was, it wasn't. Yeah, no, I won't jump ahead, but it wasn't as bad as most films, and even the last film, was it the last film where there was an accident involving a truck of Marlboro Reds?
Oh yeah. Oh, they had a bunch of things in there.
Right in front of
that entire fight was just advertised.
There was like a Coke bottle, I think, truck also, or something like that, or Budweiser.
And there's a Coke sign in the Times Square, which is really there, but
in the KFC,
KFC
they had to fight outside of.
Yeah.
Superman 3 brought to you by KFC.
KFC. Johnny Walker.
Norm Macdonald walks out. Finger looking good. Clink. Batman have any product placement?
I don't remember any.
None that I could. I don't think I saw almost like a single label of anything. Well, maybe Nike shoes, but that was brief. Like, it wasn't like...
They were banking in all the toys for the Schumacher films, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
That's why there's a couple different bat suits in here.
I always love the spotlight runs. Yeah. We agreed the next one had like the entire Bat family in there, so just like crowding for space. Running into the camera.
Well, yeah, it is the 3 of them.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the ending of Batman and Robin?
Yeah.
Have everybody, including the villains.
And Gordon. Holding on his bowler hat. Running in the background.
Yeah, can we once again talk about how incompetent Gordon is in the Batman films?
Yeah, just not knowing what the hell's going on.
He's just there because he's Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah.
Like, he provides no help.
Yeah, it's like, hey, look, it's Commissioner Gordon. Hey, look, it's Gossip Gertie.
I think the scene that establishes, like, who he is as a person perfectly is in the circus. While Bruce Wayne's trying to talk to Chase, and, like, you can see the one gossip lady, like, clearly listening in on their conversation, and then Gordon's just looking around at all the pretty lights.
Yeah.
Just with this childish glee on his face.
And also, when he's actually one of the people that volunteers for, he's like the first or second one to volunteer for Enigma's Mind thing, Mind TV or whatever it was.
After not doing anything to check and see how shady that guy's supposed suicide was.
Yeah.
So they handed him a letter saying, "Goodbye, cruel world."
I forgot about the letter.
And he says, "Well, looks like a suicide. That's it. Thanks, Mr. Wayne, for all the help."
Yeah, open shut case.
Yeah, that was
call it
awesome.
a night.
And Ed's like, here, he pastes, he like taped this to my locker. You'll find it's in his handwriting. Gordon opens it up. Goodbye, cruel world.
Yeah, subject.
Well, looks
my
legitimate
suicide.
to me. Nothing. Hey, the video camera has him running out the.
Yeah, never explained that. Like,
never explained that at all.
Yeah, like no, just
Are they supposed to
somehow
like,
fabricated it.
Alfred did it.
Well, no, I mean you couldn't see the guy's face, so it's possible Enigma. Given the movie
I thought about that, but like you hear the glass shatter. They never show him jumping out, but you just can see it from the reactions on their faces.
Well, see, hey, computer rendering must have been really good.
Yeah,
he probably invented that really well. Yeah, that's another one of those. Why did that happen? No, look over there.
Yeah.
Don't pay attention to the movie. We're being ridiculous on purpose. Thank you.
Yeah, just like,
be like Gordon. Be like Gordon and just let it go.
Yeah. Is that what they're trying to do to us? Like, that's what they think we are.
That's a bad signal sent about the police. It's just like, hey kids, if you want to be commissioner of Gotham, just be completely incompetent.
So the police aren't going to help you. Batman will.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you don't have to make the police look stupid to make Batman look good.
Yeah. But I mean, even the security guards in the one scene,
just standing
there. Not even somebody trying to like hold them back, like or tie them up.
The one guy looked almost bored.
Yeah,
he's just like he's straight. Like Stupid straight up told him he was going to get punched in the face, and he's just like, whatever.
He must have read the script.
Yeah, he's just like, you serious?
I'm so bored.
He's like, when's lunch? Yeah, and like, let me get out of here. Just punch me in the face. It's like, actually, you punching me in the face is better than standing here pretending.
Yeah, he's like, I can claim disability. Something really bad happens.
But it's like, I mean, that's been a constant theme, and I don't know why they feel the need to water down like any emergency departments, whether it's fire department in Superman or even like the police department in Batman. But it was funny in Superman, they actually kind of showed one part where, since he was affected by the kryptonite, that he didn't get there in time, and literally they just, of course, the one time Superman doesn't show up, they're giving him shit about it.
Yeah.
He's like, is there anything I can do today? He's like, yeah, a minute ago. Like, just brushes off, like, he doesn't even fucking just tells Superman to fuck off, just because he wasn't there just to help out. Like, so you can't win it all in like either of these worlds, because if Batman doesn't do his thing, then you got all kinds of gangs running amok. Even though like Chris O'Donnell's more than competent enough to take him out.
Yeah, like I would have retired right then. It's like all he needed was the gadgets.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. The gadgets or the suit.
And Alfred's support.
Yeah, Alfred building him his little toys.
Yeah.
Like how did he even make that? I mean, it's not like he's Tony Stark having his own private forge. Maybe he is. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they could have easily, the Lucius Fox angle was totally like they didn't even think about it. They just had him doing.
It's like hey, I need something. It's like, oh, I worked on this a couple of years ago. It's very convenient that you needed Mr. Wayne.
Yeah, if we have each one of Wayne departments of Wayne Enterprises working on a different component, nobody will ever put together that you're Batman. That kind of plot detail I can overlook because the rest of it would be so good. Those little things, because in any one of these superhero movies or even in comic books, I mean, you really have to do a lot of working around the fact that there's no way anybody else on Earth can put this shit together.
Yeah.
Where really, if anybody would stop for 5 seconds, they could.
Although one thing I would say is that in Batman, it was just underplayed, or it was probably unintentional. But when Enigma's talking to Bruce, he's telling him about this contraption, the Enigma TV, and Bruce is actually very interested. And one of the things that he says, like, send me the schematics. Like, tell me what you need to think about it and everything like that. And then as soon as Enigma like starts pulling away, he's just like, you know what, I'm shutting this down then. No, like, I'm not gonna have it. Nobody's gonna have it. Like, imagine if he's just cherry picking from every department, just something that piques his mind.
Yeah,
and it's just like, yeah, send me the schematics, and then he just like gets rid of them.
He would have solved those riddles a hell of a lot faster. That's
right. The first riddle, it took him 30 seconds to come up with clock.
I was honestly waiting for like whoever that lady was, whether it was his assistant or the head of that department. It was kind of like she was looking at him like, really, you haven't figured this out yet? Just waiting for her to throw it out there. It's like, it's a clock. It's a clock.
Bruce. They didn't teach you that in Ivy League? Like,
well, getting back to the Enigma part when he's Ed, I mean, I assume that I originally, again, probably giving the film too much credit, that Bruce Wayne was just like, this sounds dangerous, because basically that's what he said before. He goes, give me the schematics, because he wanted to know how it worked in case, and then he's like, well, I'm shutting this whole thing down. I'm like, well, that shoots that theory, because, in a perfect world, you would have been like, look, I'm giving you this chance. You could talk to my secretary. The whole point is, Bruce wants to get his plan.
Because he would have still, it would have still been a fuck you to his boss, too.
Yeah.
Because he shut the program down. Bruce Wayne came and said, give me the schematics. set up something with my assistant, you still got your job.
Yeah.
And you can still work on the project.
The fact that he's still working at Wayne Enterprises after being as loony as he is just ridiculous. I mean that was just basically like...
I kind of would have kept an eye on him. But
yeah, I mean, why is
Batman had bigger problems, apparently.
Yeah.
Again, if they had underplayed
the Red Diary.
I mean, that could have been something cool where, Enigma shows up out of the blue, during the movie, and then later on you find out that, he's this mild guy working in Wayne Enterprises.
Yeah, that's been there the entire time.
Yeah, that he's a mole. That's perfect for a backstory. That's all you really need to know about him. Nothing over the top, but, it actually take a little thought and set up and pacing and... what the fuck? Let's just hire Jim Carrey and
the ridiculous way he was able to change his hairstyles too.
Yeah.
Because first he's got the flat top, and then he's like rocking Bruce Wayne's look, and the next time you see him, I have no idea what's going on at the end with
all his costume changes. That was like he went from looking kind of like the Riddler to who the fuck are you and why are you wearing
David Bowie?
Why are you wearing why are you wearing a unitard?
Yeah, that I could have done without.
Why are you trying to be Ziggy Stardust, David Bowie?
Seriously. I mean, God, what was the thought process going into either one of these movies? I mean, I really, really want to know what the thought process was going into these movies. Like, these movies were made intentionally. And now I know, Louis, you said that, 45 minutes was cut out of Batman Forever.
Yeah.
But, making a movie like this isn't like stubbing your toe. It's like, I didn't see the shoe or something in the middle of the living room. It takes time, effort, planning, money, marketing to make a movie. And you do something like this, and nobody in the process says, none of this shit makes sense. Well, I guess that's how they ran the Burton films, too.
Yeah.
None of this makes sense. All right, let's go with it. It's got the Burton aesthetic.
We got Prince.
We got Prince.
Yeah.
You got Prince for the first one. You got Susie and the Banshees for the second one. This one they got U2 for. Mm-hmm. And a Seal song they never used.
Yeah,
the very, very end.
The very end.
That was credits. Like they were using that as like it was big on MTV. This was huge for marketing. Like I remember this, like the toys, commercials. They were throwing this at everything that would make it stick.
Taco Bell had the drive-through joke run into it.
Yeah,
it's a good drive-through.
Oh, is that what that was? It was a reference to Taco Bell. Oh my god!
Well, there was a specific commercial.
There was that one, and then the next one has him with the bat card.
Oh yeah. Oh, the next one. That's hilarious.
Oh my god, that's fucking. I mean, because that's really funny. Because didn't Stan Lee do that with Spider-Man? Somebody thanked Spider-Man, said wrote him out a check to Spider-Man, and Spider-Man couldn't cash it because But in a Schumacher movie, Batman can have this whole, nobody's gonna care. American Express, of all people, who makes you pay the full balance at the end of the month, who doesn't call calls you club members when they accept your application for the card. American Express is gonna be like, sure, we'll give a card to Batman, no social security number, no forwarding address, Oh, I'm sorry, your bill's being taken care of by Bruce Wayne because he's a nice guy. Sure, we'll buy that. I mean, seriously.
Spider-Man could always go by his nickname, Cash. One of the Avengers, they go to give him a check. He's like, "Oh, we get paid in this gig?" And he's like, "Yeah." It's like, "We don't know your secret identity, so we can't give you a check." And he's like, "Oh, come on!" And Luke Cage is like, "Damn, that's cold, man." It's like, hey, doesn't want to tell us who he is.
So, anything else you guys want to add? I'm pretty sure we're kind of winding down to the final thoughts, right?
Yeah, I don't know. So it seemed like we had this energetic. This must be like the quality of these movies, or the lack of quality of these movies. Because it's like, what else can you say? I mean, because they're so totally all over the place. Because there's so much padding of different kinds in here. It's hard to nail it down to one thing.
It's like Superman was way more of a comedy.
It's hard to discuss it unless we explain every shtick, every meaningless conversation that happens between Bruce Wayne and Chase Meridian. Chase Meridian. Chase Masterson's an actress. So, this is a fucking tough one. Who's this round going to?
I would have to say Batman, because I could follow that a lot easier than Superman.
Yeah, for me, I'm leaning more towards Batman because although some of the acting is unforgivable, I think the pacing and there's not as much extra material in Batman than what I see in Superman. Superman, you could have taken out almost 20 minutes and a lot of Richard Pryor. I didn't like Richard Pryor.
Well, the funny thing about Superman is that I wouldn't know what to cut out of it because there wasn't a complete thought in it. And Batman Forever, though, Jim Carrey, like I said, was like a pendulum. Every now and again, it would hit its mark and then go off it would either become super boring or super over the top. And I was really bored and pissed off for most of Batman Forever just because A, it was so tedious, and B, there was so much missed potential, and C, I know the Batman universe a lot better than the Superman universe. But by the same token, as ridiculously bad as Superman 3 was, I had a better time longer. Like I said, it was 2 hours and 2 hours and 5 minutes. I think I stopped laughing at the 90-minute mark. The last half hour was boring. It was like, all right, just, with a couple punctuated laughs. Whereas Batman Forever, that was most of the movie for me. So, I don't know. Go on.
No, I think, getting rid of most of Superman's supporting cast to make way for maybe 2 characters. I guess you could argue for 3 with Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
But, he was...
Well, Superman definitely was not the star of his own film.
No. That was a Richard Pryor film.
It was with
the guest starring spot from Superman.
That was Muhammad Ali versus in Superman, that comic.
Yeah.
That 1 year. I mean, it was a publicity stunt. It was basically what it was.
Mm-hmm. Whereas Batman, his supporting cast was rock solid. And they helped him out throughout the entire movie. They had, you had Chase who helped him with his who was his consultant for Enigma and Two-Face. And you had Robin coming in and helping him out, and Alfred just being Alfred. And then Gordon kind of there for comic relief, but...
Yeah, for me, Superman, besides the comedic things, including Pryor and all the gags, the Webster, his sister, and Lorelai, his characters kind of just seem like a rehashed Gene Hackman.
That's true. Gene Hackman.
I forgot his buddy's name.
Otis.
Fuck that guy. I'm so glad he's not.
Yeah.
I hate him.
That was
I hate him so much. I hate him more than I hate Gordon.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, a walking just buffoon. It's pretty much just one of those. I'm glad they weren't in it, but it feels like they were kind of in there anyway.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Which is interesting because I did find the Webster character pretty right in line.
If it wasn't Richard Pryor and it was just Robert Vaughn, that would be okay. Or if it was just Richard Pryor, or if you utilize these things, intelligently, like we were talking about before, it would have been a good movie. Yeah. There's a bunch of disparate elements. Oh my god,
it's weird. Yeah, really weird things. But it's funny because they all kind of these films continue to mirror each other. I mean, we saw the Superman video game thing,
yeah,
and then the Batman with the battleship scene. It's just are the is one in a watch or the other? Are the people watching the same movies and just thinking I saw that 10 years? This is a 12-year differential. Yeah, 95 and 83. You're just well, you know what? I saw this in a movie. Let me just let's just go for it. It just doesn't. It doesn't work, but I gotta say that I gotta go with Batman.
Well, wait, just about Batman killing somebody. Does him throwing up the coins that leads to Two-Face's death, does that consider a kill, or is that a half a kill, or are we just going to say that was a
good question too.
That's an unintentional death.
I think it's very much intentional.
Yeah, because I'm going to say you
could have easily saved him by shooting a grappling hook and hooking onto his ankle or something. And
there is even precedent for that in this universe. So
yeah. Instead he took the kill so Dick Grayson didn't have to.
All right, let me just say this. neither one of these are good films. Because I'm actually, you guys are talking me into Batman, and I don't want, because I saw the movie 20 years ago, and I remembered 5 things about it, and even those 5 things were pretty wrong, because I remembered them wrong. This movie had, like, no, you know, it left little impression on me. Like, you know, as we mentioned before, Paycheck or The Daredevil or, you know, Island of the Dead, you know, Minority Report. These are all movies that I saw that I don't remember seeing because they were so bland. And so I'm sitting here thinking, I can't remember one goddamn thing about this movie in 20 years. This, regardless of how ridiculous Superman 3 is, I'm going to give Superman 3 my vote. But you guys are, like, actually turning me towards, I might have to actually give this point to Batman. It's painful. I didn't want to watch Batman Forever again. Like, we're sitting here at the PlayStation. I'm like, all right, well, let's go get this over with.
Oh, Batman, he fought for that win.
He did. He really, and you know, Kilmer did have his moments of not being a bore.
I don't know. A lot of his line delivery is Bruce Wayne.
Oh, all right, his first line delivery as Batman was good. We'll give him that much. Oh my God!
Well, don't worry, we still got George Clooney.
Oh, God.
But then again, if you take the actors head to head, the two good things about them, and you're taking Christopher Reeve's performance versus Michael Gough's performance, I don't know. God damn it! I'm gonna have to give this point to Batman. Fuck.
You heard it here, folks.
I mean, just so you know, we don't all have to agree. I mean, we can still give our individual points and then tally up at the end who's going to win round per round. But God damn it, I don't want to give Batman this point. I never want to see either one of these two movies again. Though, no, all right, this is what tipped the scale. I will go look up on YouTube to see if I can find Alfred saying the trick-or-treaters.
You'll be sick in your beds.
That was so fucking creepy. God damn it. There's one line by Michael Gough. Christopher Reeve, I loved you. I mean, you're an awesome actor, but I'm gonna have to give this fucking point to Batman. Oh my God.
I guess, with Batman takes the win.
Very, very, very barely.
Very, very close.
I mean, don't get me wrong. This isn't a close, like, oh my God, these both. This is like which one is better than the you know, which is the best of the worst?
What's the shinier turd?
Yeah, there's nobody really won.
I don't know if Red Letter Media trademarked best of the worst, and this is an unintentional thing, but oh God, I gotta pick Batman Forever. See, even my dog doesn't approve of this shit.
Alright, well, I guess that's the final notes. So, Countdown to Justice, Episode 3, Batman wins. So now the score is Superman 2, Batman 1. And with that, I'll say goodnight. My name is Luis Duran.
I'm Chris Morgan.
Rich Perry.
And have a good night. We'll see you next time.
And that's Spencer in the background.
Music and editing by Chris Morgan. This has been a Lost Cinemas production. All rights reserved.